So now that we've got the uploading of the files and the database stuff out of the way, now it's time to get in and get our hands dirty with some of these demonstration files and really start to learn what it is that we're doing with the PHP code, what it is, how we can set up the AJAX, and really get into the code so you can learn how to create a web application. So let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, I've got Mozilla Firefox open, and the cursor is waiting for me to type something in here. So what I'm going to do is type in my demo database, jbdemo.com / I need to do / what was it, 15 days DVD, and let's see what that does. Okay, that gives me a directory listing. Now your web server may not let you do that. A lot of web servers are set up to not allow this to happen. In other words, this directory listing here, a lot of times they'll say directory listing denied, and that's okay. My web server is set up so that I can actually just look at all of this information because there's no index.php or index.html file. Now let's say that yours is set up so that you can't just click on one of these by going to the main directory like so. What you want to do is go to your website, .com or .net / the folder or directory is the correct way to say that. The directory that you created and installed these files in / demo.php. Okay, so take a look at that. Your website / the directory you created where you installed my files / demo.php, and then just hit go or enter, return. Alright, so what we're looking at is a very simple HTML form. So we've got, we can choose a county, and this is pulling information out of the database and instantly populating it. So this is information. So obviously I shouldn't say obviously, not so obviously, it is correctly connecting to the database. I don't see any errors on the page, and the fact that there is drop-down information means that the config file that I set up is set up correctly. It's pulling this information out of the database. And then I can choose the year, and then I can hit get population data. Now what this is going to do when I hit get population data is it's going to post the form over to a PHP file that is going to pull some more information out of the database based on what I choose here and here. But this is not AJAX. This is just the demo.php is to show you the starting point, to show you where we start off, so that as this evolves file by file and tutorial by tutorial, you'll see that we're taking a very simple and rudimentary PHP form, some PHP code, and then we're changing it and evolving it to a more complex web application. So let me go ahead and stop talking and go ahead and click get population data. And so it says the 2002 population estimate for Duval County is 801,793. So if I were to change this to Baker County and choose 2003, it should give me the correct information. 2003 population estimate for Baker County. Alright, so this is not, and this, by the way, it's posting to a page called results.php. Alright, now let's go and take a look at what we have here. I'm just going to give you a very quick walkthrough, and forgive me if I'm covering ground that you already are familiar with, but some people are not going to be that familiar with PHP code. So I'm looking at demo.php. This is our first demonstration. Okay, include class.db.php. This means it's grabbing a library that does the database connections. Include config.php. That's telling the PHP code. By the way, this is the beginning of PHP. It's telling the PHP code to go grab the config file so it can connect to the database. And this is where it sets up the new class, connects to the database. Now, I have to warn you, if some of what I've talked about so far is just shot right over your head, I'm not going to be able to cover PHP 101 or 102. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible, but one of the reasons why I've included all of these demonstration PHP tutorial files is so that you can follow along. It's not like I'm telling you, okay, write some code to connect to the database. I've written the code for you. You may not understand step by step exactly how the PHP code is working and why is there an arrow here. That's okay. There's only so much ground that we can cover, and I want to be able to jump right into the building of the AJAX web application. So forgive me, but I've I'm going to have to jump past some of the basic PHP information. I'll try to cover as much as I can, but at the same time, I've got to jump in and be able to start talking about the AJAX part of it. Okay, so we're connecting to the database, and it's saying select the information from the database and show it in this drop-down. So it's generating HTML right here, and here's our actual HTML. This is where the HTML starts. All right, so there's really nothing fancy going on with JavaScript. There's no JavaScript being used at all. All we have are two basic style sheets being used here. Over on the results.php side, let me show you that to you here. Results.php is right here. Okay, so results.php, this is again grabbing the PHP database class, the config file, and then it's grabbing the information. So it's grabbing the year, and it's grabbing, yeah, there you go. It's grabbing the year, and it's showing the information for the selected county. So it's and then it's formatting it into HTML and sending that information to the browser. So if you want to go back, let's take a quick second look. Here's what's happening. All this information is pulled out of the database, and then I can submit the form, and we go to results.php, and it grabs the information out of the database and it shows it right here. So the big thing to understand is that demo.php does not have any JavaScript whatsoever. This is our starting point. The other thing that's very important to understand is that as I go through these tutorials, we're going to add layers and layers and layers of additional JavaScript code, step by step, and it's going to get more and more and more advanced. And I'm going to walk you through this one step at a time, but no matter what we do as we go through this, I'm going to set it up so that at any time, if someone were to come to this website, this web page, and not have JavaScript turned on, that they would still be able to, or if there was a JavaScript error on the page, they would still be able to use the form, use the web application, and that's good practice. That's a good practice to follow, just so that everyone who comes to your website will be able to see what you're doing and get the data, even if it's not as user-friendly as you would like it to be. The nirvana is to be able to show the AJAX web application to everyone who has JavaScript enabled, which is 95% of the people out there. But for the small fraction of people who don't have it turned on, they'll still be able to use your web page.